All right, let's go over some vocab. So, one solution. The definition of one solution is equations with one solution have one answer. So that means you're going to end up with like x equals 5, or m equals 7, or r equals 352,783. You have a variable, and on the other side you have a number. That means you have one solution. All right, let's practice solving a one solution. So first we're going to distribute. So 2 times r, which is 2r, plus 2 times 2, which is 4, equals 16. Then you will combine like terms. We don't have any combine like terms. Now we're going to get rid of addition and subtraction. So we are going to subtract 4 from both sides. 4 minus 4 is 0, so goodbye. And 16 minus 4 is 12. Now we're going to get rid of that multiplication or division. So in order to get rid of the 2, we have to divide by both sides. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so 1r is the same as just r. And 12 divided by 2 is 6. So there you have it. We've solved the equation. Since you guys are becoming experts at solving equations, we're going to go to the next step where we're making our own equations. And this is what you're going to need to do for your project. Alright, when you start making an equation, you need to pick a variable and then pick a number. So I'm going to stick with the r equals 6. Okay, you can do anything. When I see your projects and your rough draft, I expect to see something other than r equals 6 because that's the example I used. Alright, now let's say I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. You can multiply both sides by whatever number you want. The only reason I'm doing 2 is because we're learning this for the first time, so I'm using this example over here. The last thing I did on this side was I divided by 2, so I'm kind of reversing that. If you're doing your own thing, you could do 3 times r and 3 times 6. It doesn't matter as long as you multiply both sides by the same number. Okay, the next thing we did over here was we took away a 4. So I'm actually going to add a 4. And again, I want to make sure I'm doing it to both sides, because if I don't do it to both sides, it's going to make our equation unbalanced. Alright, this last part is where it gets a little tricky. We want to make sure we have at least 3 steps. So right now we have 1 step here and 2 steps here. Okay? In order to get a third step, you can do one of 2 things. You can maybe break this 2r apart to be like r plus 4 equals 16. Okay? So that's one way you could do it. Or you could, so I'm going to put option 1 real quick so we remember that. Option 1. Or you could try to factor something out. Now factoring sounds like a really big hard thing to do, but really all you do is you see if you can divide both these numbers by something. I know that 2r and 4 are both divisible by 2, so I'm going to pull it out and put it outside some parentheses. So that's our option 2. This is the option I'd like you to try. Alright, if we check that, 2 times r is 2r, 2 times 2 is 4. Whenever we're making equations, this is our final answer. So it's kind of the opposite. Alright, let's try doing another one. So we have no solution. Equations with no solution have no answer. Really, it's no answer or an answer that doesn't make sense. So for example, 4 equals 5. This is not the same as this. 4 is 1 less than 5, so not true. Let's say we have 20 and 7. Not the same. If someone owes you $20 and they give you $7, you're going to be upset because you didn't get your full amount of money back. Alright, so again, not equal. That means when we're doing no solution, we want to start out with something that's not equal. Okay? That's when we're getting the making equation part. You start out with something that's not equal. I skipped ahead. Let's practice solving an equation for no solution real quick. So first thing we do is distribute. 3 times m is 3m. 3 times 2 is 6. next thing we do is we are going to combine our m's. So I'm going to do that by subtracting 3m by both sides. That's going to give me 6 equals 4, because 3m minus 3m, that cancels out, and 3m minus 3m again cancels out. All right, 6 does not equal 4, so we are done. All right, when we make an equation, let's see what we notice here. First thing we notice is our variables canceled out. Okay. Next thing we noticed was we ended up with 2 numbers that didn't equal. So whenever you're making equations, you want your variables cancel out, and you want 2 numbers that don't equal each other. All right, let's stick with the 6 doesn't equal 4. Okay, so if we're working backwards, we're going to add 3m to both sides. So I just put my 3m back in there. I put a variable. Next, I'm going to see if I can pull anything out, like we were talking about the distributive property earlier. That's it, and factoring. So I know that 6 and 3 both have a 3 in common, so I'm going to pull that out. 6 divided by 3 is going to be 2, and 3 divided by 3 is 1. That leaves us with just an m. All right, and there we go. Another thing we could have come up with for 6 doesn't equal 4, let's say we put 6 plus 2m equals 4 plus 2m. All right. Over here, I can see I can pull a 2 out. Again. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And over here, I actually see I can pull a 2 out of 4. And that's going to give me 2. My eraser will work here. Okay. It's going to give me 2 plus m on this side. And there we go. We've got our own equation. You can even get a little crazier and maybe put a minus 2 on this side. This is your opportunity to be really creative. There's no correct answer. There's no correct equation. You can do whatever you want, as long as you make sure that you do it to both sides. You also need to make sure you have multiple steps. All right? Let's review infinite solution. So it's like that Buzz Lightyear, to infinity and beyond. All right? So equations with infinite solutions have many answers. So this is going to look like 4 equals 4. That's always true, no matter what. It's infinitely true. Or A equals A. All right, let's practice solving an equation. So we've got 4x plus 8. We're going to leave that alone. And then on this side, we're going to distribute. So we get 4x plus 2 plus 6. Now we're going to combine our like terms. That's going to give me 8 plus 4x equals 4x plus 8. Okay, now I'm going to subtract my 4x from both sides. That's going to cancel them out, and we end up with 8 equals 8. All right, there we go. Infinitely many because 8 equals 8. Let's try making our own. So let's say we have 8 equals 8 again. All right, let's add something to both sides. I'm going to add maybe a 2x to both sides. Well, I notice over here, 8 and 2 both have a 2 in common. So let me pull a 2 out. So 8 divided by 2 is 4 plus 1x, because 2 divided by 2 is x, equals 8 plus 2x. I really want to have 3 steps. So here's my first step. Here's my second step. Let me do one more thing to it. So because I like subtraction, I'm just going to subtract a 2 from both sides. Remember, I did it from both sides because I want to make sure that whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. Keep it equal. Now you could stop and leave it at that, or you could simplify this just a little bit and actually do be 8 minus 2. And that's going to give you 2x plus 6. All right. This, I'm not going to lie, making equations, it's kind of difficult. So if you have any questions, make sure you are asking them. Okay, so our working backwards project. Your rough draft is going to be due at the end of the block today on Canvas. Rough draft must include definitions for all 3 solutions. I really gave those to you, so you just need to type them up. And examples of equations for each solution. So I gave you my examples. Now you need to try to come up with your own. You need help. That's what I'm there for, so make sure you raise your hand. You are going to be doing this by yourself, and you're going to be submitting it on Canvas. It's going to be called the rough draft. All right. So if you click next, it's going to be the next assignment. You're going to put it in that text box. Make sure you read the description of the assignment.